Thank you everyone for joining the call today. My name is Pantea Kodami and I'm the Product Manager for the HiSeq X Series of instruments and reagents. For the webinar today, we have Peter Bartmeyer, Senior Product Manager of the HiSeq platform. Peter will be reviewing Illumina's high throughput sequencing portfolio and some of our new product launches. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the call, so I encourage all of you to submit your questions through the presentation in the chat box. Thank you for listening, and with that, I will hand it over to Peter.
Thanks a lot for the introduction, Pantea. As Pantea mentioned, we're really excited to be launching 3 new systems. We're going to be launching the HiSeq 3000, HiSeq 4000, and the new HiSeq X5 platform. These new systems are going to further expand our portfolio and enable researchers to better do their research. So today's agenda for the webinar, I'll give a brief introduction to the Illumina portfolio. Then I'll move into a high-level overview of the pattern flow cells, giving you some ideas to how we're using those pattern flow cells on these new platforms. And then move into the new products themselves, talking about the HiSeq 3000 and HiSeq 4000, and then moving on to the extension of the HiSeq X10 with talking about the new HiSeq X5 platform that's going to further enable whole genome sequencing in the market. Then I'll close with a summary of the entire portfolio, and as Pantea mentioned, answer any questions that you may have that you're typing into the chat windows. So looking at our portfolio, you can see it's already a very complete and complex portfolio with a sequencer to match every scale. So we have everything from the focus power of the MiSeq, where you can do small amplicon studies or small panels, all the way up to the large-scale population power on the HiSeq X platform, where you can do those large population-scale sequencing. And now we're happy to be announcing the new HiSeq systems with the HiSeq 3000 and 4000, really rounding out the portfolio and bringing pattern flow cell technology to a broad array of different applications on those systems. So talking about the pattern flow cell technology, as I mentioned, pattern flow cell technology was first introduced last year when we announced the HiSeq X10 portfolio. The pattern flow cell technology really helped us to expand the amount of data that we can generate on a single system. And we implemented that first on the HiSeq X10 to really drive down the cost of sequencing and drive down specifically the cost of whole human genome sequencing. But how does the pattern flow cell technology work? The way that we implement the pattern flow cell technology is we have a nanowell layer substrate on both the top and bottom surface of the flow cell. So we're still going to be doing dual flow cell imaging to maximize the amount of data that you can get off the flow cell. And that nanowell substrate provides a means of having billions of order wells across the entire flow cell. The billions of wells have a defined featured size. That featured size allows us to optimally space those features so that we can provide a fixed cluster spacing. This fixed cluster spacing allows us to very tightly pack in those clusters so that we're able to increase the overall cluster density and the amount of data that you can get off of the flow cell. So in this image here, you can see what a typical flow cell actually looks like with this ordered array. And as you can see, the individual clusters are very readily discerned and clearly discernible from one another. And again, by having that nanowell substrate, we're able to make sure that the clusters can all grow to the same type of size. They're all in fixed positions, and that's going to make it easier for us to do our imaging and template registration, and also allow us to do some faster scanning because we know precisely where those individual features and clusters are going to be. Comparing that to an overclustered, it's important to note this is an overclustered flow cell using random spacing on a non-pattern flow cell. You can see it's a little more difficult to clearly define where each individual cluster is the informatics can still do template registration and be able to call out those individual clusters, but you can only imagine that having this defined array really allows us to tightly pack in those clusters and really increase the amount of output and ease of being able to find the individual clusters themselves. So with these new pattern flow cells, we also needed to develop a new pattern flow cell chemistry. Typical bridge amplification that we use on the non-pattern flow cells we found did not provide the performance that we were expecting. So we did some additional research and came up with a new means of doing the clustering. The new method is called kinetic exclusion amplification, and this kinetic exclusion amplification will ensure that we're delivering a single monoclonal template in each of the nanowells. So how the kinetic exclusion amplification works is in the nanowell and only in the nanowells we'll have our seeding primers there. So we'll have our standard primers in the nanowell surface themselves. As a template DNA comes in and makes contacts with those primers, it'll hybridize, and then it rapidly and immediately begins amplification. This amplification occurs at actually 20 times the rate of hybridization, and because that amplification is so rapid, it will bind all of the remaining primers as it does similar to the bridge amplification method and does its amplification, and that rapid amplification will exclude any other template primer or template DNAs coming into the well and binding to any of the oligos, because all those oligos will already be annealed to the original seeding template DNA. So this is really going to ensure that we have high monoclonal clusters, and again, give us the amount of output that we need to get off of these pattern flow cell technology. So developing that pattern flow cell technology, as I mentioned, was really instrumental in driving down the cost of whole human genome sequencing as they were launched on the HiSeq X platform last year. And one of the concerns, or one of the customers, what they were asking for was looking for being able to run additional applications on using pattern flow cells. So now with the launch of the HiSeq 3000 and 4000, we're able to open up the whole portfolio and open up the number of samples that you can run on the system itself. So the HiSeq 3000 and 4000 will implement those pattern flow cell technologies, but allow you to run an array of applications or methods. HiSeq 3000 and 4000 maintains the same nomenclature as what the HiSeq 1000 and 2000 system did, in that the HiSeq 3000 is a single flow cell system that will deliver up to 750 gigabases in 3.5 days with 2.5 billion reads. The HiSeq 4000 is a dual flow cell system. That dual flow cell system can double the output of the single flow cell, delivering 1.5 terabases in 3.5 days again, and uses 5 billion reads. The length of the read length that we can achieve on both the 3000 and 4000 is paired N 2x150 base pair read length. With these new systems, we're still able to maintain the high quality that people have come to expect with Illumina sequencers, and we're achieving Q-scores of greater than 75% of the bases at or above Q30 or higher. So as I mentioned, the HiSeq 3000 is 4000, and HiSeq 3000 and 4000 are really going to deliver a significant amount of data. They only operate in high output mode. There is no rapid run mode. But with that amount of data that they're producing, we're able to produce a faster and more cost-effectively produced data. So on the HiSeq 3000, you're able to deliver greater than 200 gigabases per day, which is a 28% increase over the HiSeq 2500 using V4 reagents. And then amazingly, on the HiSeq 4000, we're able to increase that to greater than 400 gigabases per day, which is a 157% increase versus the HiSeq 2500, again using the new HiSeq V4 reagents that we launched late last year. So overall, this represents a massive increase in the amount of data that we can deliver, and with that, we're still delivering that data at a reduced cost, and we've actually been able to reduce the cost of sequencing by 33% with these new kits. During development, we've tested a number of different samples on these systems. There's data available on BaseSpace that you can go up and review yourselves if you'd like to take a look at that. In development, we've tested exomes, whole transcriptomes, genomes, and any number of different samples. And here's some typical results that we're achieving. On the HiSeq 3000, so a single flow cell instrument, we're able to deliver 90 exomes, assuming that we're doing paired 2x75 base pair reads, and assuming 4 gigabases per exome. On the HiSeq 4000, you can run up to 100 transcriptomes. This is assuming 50 million reads per transcriptome, and again doing paired 2x75 base pair reads. Runtimes only taking less than 2 days. So granted, we don't have the rapid run mode on these systems, but the turnaround time and speed of the system makes it so that you can really get to your answer quickly. And then looking at the system, how it will be able, how many individual genomes it'll be able to run, you can see on a single flow cell system, you're able to run up to 6 human genomes at a 30x depth, or on the dual flow cell system, you're able to double that with 12 human genomes being generated in 3.5 days. This is using our maximum read length on the HiSeq 3000, 4000 platform with the paired 150s. So as I mentioned, in development, we've tested a number of different samples. There are specific library preps that are supported. You can go onto our web pages or look at the data sheet, and it'll list all the specific library preps that we've tested. It is an open system, so you can run additional applications, but officially supported applications and library prep methods are listed in that data sheet. In developing the system, we wanted to make sure that we had an easy way for people to get into the pattern flow cells on the HiSeq system. So we developed the HiSeq 3000, which again is a single flow cell system, and it's priced roughly at the same price as what a HiSeq 2500 costs. But we wanted to make sure that customers would have an easy transition if they wanted to upgrade their HiSeq 3000 up to a 4000 system, that transition would be easy for them, and there is an upgrade path for them to do so. So it's simply ordering a HiSeq 4000 upgrade package. A Illumina trained FSE will come on site and upgrade the HiSeq 3000 to a 4000, and that 4000 will have the same exact performance as what a newly generated manufactured HiSeq 4000 is coming off the manufacturing floor. So with a price of less than 12 runs, you can double your sequencing capacity by ordering this HiSeq upgrade. So what is a typical level of performance that we're achieving? Here we're showing some preliminary data that was developed on a development instrument, and we're comparing Nextera rapid capture exomes run on the HiSeq 4000 system versus the same samples run on a HiSeq 2500 system. You can see both captures were done in a 4-plex. We had a 2x75 base pair read lengths for both, and you can see really equivalent performance across all the individual metrics. So looking at the total number of SNPs and indels, you can see that there's roughly the same number of SNVs being called here, with roughly 31,000 on the 4,000, and again roughly 30,000 on the HiSeq 2500. And then just looking at this SNP and indel precision and recall, you can see highly comparable data with roughly 99% of SNP precision, regardless of which platform you're using, whether you're running it on the HiSeq 4000 with the pattern flow cell technology or on the HiSeq 2500 using the non-pattern flow cells. And again, looking at RNA-seq performance, here we're comparing again the HiSeq 4000 with the 2500, and looking at the percent of aligned bases greater than Q30. You can see really highly comparable data regardless of whether you're running the samples on the HiSeq 4000 or the HiSeq 2500. And here we've compared a broad range of samples where you're looking at total RNA or messenger RNA, or looking at human universal reference RNA and total RNA and human universal reference mRNA. So how does that correlate into actual expression levels? In the graph here, you can see, again, we're comparing the HiSeq 4000 versus the HiSeq 2500, comparing those brain samples, total brain samples, and just looking at the expression levels, you can see a really straight line with a really good linear correlation with R-squared values of roughly 0.99. So it just shows incredible performance on both the HiSeq 4000 and 2500 with comparable quality on both systems and a good correlation between the data sets. So as I mentioned last year, we came out with the HiSeq X10, and the X10 has really been an enabling system in that it has rapidly been taken up by a number of different labs across the world. So it's really been a rapid uptake, and it's not been isolated to just genome centers. We're having them go into health networks. Countries are looking to sequence their entire population, and it's really truly been a global phenomenon where it's been taken up by all different labs across the world. With that rapid uptake, the main reason for that uptake was, again, the launch of the $1,000 genome. And what type of performance can you get on the HiSeq X10? The HiSeq X10 will generate up to 1.8 terabases in less than 3 days using 6 billion reads. Maximum read length on the HiSeq X10 systems is paired by 2x150s, and that is the specifications per the individual system. But for the HiSeq X10, obviously you need to purchase 10 units to be able to get into the HiSeq X10 portfolio. And with that, you're able to process up to 18,000 genomes per year, assuming that you're working at 85% capacity. The total genome price, and this is the actual genome price, again, assuming 85% capacity, factoring in library costs, labor, and a 4-year depreciation schedule, you're able to truly deliver that $1,000 genome price. The consumables wind up costing roughly $800 per individual genome. And again, with that broad success that we saw with the HiSeq X10 platform, we wanted to continue to expand access to the whole human genome sequencing, and one way to do that was to launch the HiSeq X5. So the X5 is going to further enable production scale whole human genome sequencing, giving customers an easier path into the whole human genome sequencing with not needing to have a full $10 million to be able to get into the whole genome sequencing space. The performance on these X5 systems is equivalent to what you get with a HiSeq X10 platform. The only difference is that you only need to purchase the 5 systems. Since you're only purchasing 5 systems, you can process up to 9,000 genomes in a year. We've slightly increased the cost since you don't have that same initial CapEx expenditure in purchasing a full X10. We had to increase the price per genome, but still the price per genome is roughly $1,400, which is a significant cost savings versus other platforms in the market. So how can you further gain access to that $1,000 genome? We wanted to, again, make sure that the HiSeq X5 is extensible as well. We didn't want customers to be limited or only need to stay on that X5 portfolio, and want them to have the ability to grow into the HiSeq X10 as well. With the HiSeq X10, the cost for an X10 portfolio is to be able to purchase that for the $10 million, so $1 million per unit. With that, you gain access to that low cost per sequencing of $7 per gigabase. On the HiSeq X5, only requires the 5 units. Price per unit is $1.2 million per unit, or $6 million for the entire X5 portfolio, and the cost per gigabase of sequencing is $10.60 per gigabase. Again, both systems are locked into only being able to sequence whole human genome samples at 30x depth. But if you need to purchase additional X5 systems, you can purchase incremental X5 units at $1.2 million each, or you can run your X5, get your feet wet with whole human genome sequencing. As you begin to ramp, determine what your throughput need is. You can also potentially order a separate 5 units. That if you buy all 5 systems at one time, you can purchase those units at $1 million, so a reduction of $200,000 per unit, and brings you up to the 10 that is required for the HiSeq X10 portfolio. And with that, you'll have basically an equivalent system to the HiSeq 10 with the same performance, same amount of output, and also the same consumable pricing. So reducing that consumable pricing from the $10 per gigabase down to the $7 per gigabase, because you now have access to a full 10 systems. So I'm sure all of you are well aware that sequencing has really taken off over the past 6-7 years. And one of the main applications that customers were doing is whole exome sequencing. And looking at the number of publications that were done in 2008, you can see there were only 4 publications, and it quickly ramped up to greater than 25,000 publications. And with that rapid ramp, there's been a steady decline in the cost for sequencing itself, mainly driven by Illumina's announcements and groundbreaking technology. So we're able to reduce the cost of exome sequencing from roughly $1,200 down to $400. A little hard to see on the screen, at least on my screen. But yeah, so we were able to drive down the cost of sequencing for whole exome sequencing. But in that same time, if you look at whole human genome sequencing, you can see that an even more dramatic decline in the cost of whole human genome sequencing, mainly due to the announcement of the HiSeq X10 platform. So we're able to take it from $12,000 down to roughly $890. So reducing the cost of whole genome sequencing roughly 12-fold. And that rapid decline in human genome sequencing has led customers to really think about what type of research they want to be doing. Do they want to be looking at just whole exome sequencing, only looking at those exonics regions, or do they want to get a full picture of the entire genome and wanted to see what level of coverage you actually get and performance you get looking at a whole genome versus a whole exome? So last year, a publication was done, and here you can see it's varied in detection, sensitivity, and biases in whole human genome sequencing versus exome sequencing. The key takeaways from this paper were that whole human genome sequencing actually has a greater coverage and uniformity and sensitivity for SNP calling than what you can get on exome sequencing alone. So with an exome at 95% detection, you need to be at 40x depth, whereas to get the same level of detection on a whole human genome, you only need to be at 14x depth. So some of the benefits of doing whole human genome sequencing also is that it's a shorter application. You don't need to do the capture that you need to do with exome sequencing, and you get a much richer data set in that you're not limited to just that exonic regions. You're able to see the entire genome, so you get information on the additional 98.5% of the genome. And that allows you to really be able to more readily detect and discern genomic rearrangements or structural variants. So internally, with the announcement of this paper, we did some additional investigation ourselves, comparing our Nextera rapid capture exome run on our platforms versus whole human genome sequencing run on our X10 platform as well. And you can see that in order to get the same level of performance of coverage for roughly a 200x depth on a Nextera rapid capture exome, you only need to go to 40x depth on a whole human genome sequencing on the HiSeq X platform. So again, we can see the same cost savings and reduction in depth that you need to go to using whole human genome sequencing on the X platform. So with the announcement of the HiSeq X platform this past year, we've been doing a lot of work to really improve whole human genome sequencing, not just driving down the cost of whole human genome sequencing, but also improving our complete portfolio and how the individual reagents work with one another. At the end of last year, we announced the new V2 reagents for the HiSeq X10 portfolio, and they greatly improved the performance of the whole human genome sequencing in general, and enabled the ability to use the PCR-free, TrueSeq PCR-free library prep kit. So now you can use both the TrueSeq Nano and the TrueSeq PCR-free library prep kit on the HiSeq X10 and X5 platform. And to make it even easier for you, we're going to be announcing a bundling the library prep in addition to the sequencing reagents. So it'll be a one-stop shop where you can just come in, order your reagents and library prep together, choose between the TrueSeq PCR-free or TrueSeq Nano, and be able to get everything you need to be able to begin sequencing. Like I said, we've been working very hard to make sure we're improving the quality of our genomes and ensuring the functionality and compatibility of the TrueSeq PCR-free and Nano kit with our X10 reagents. So looking at the data that we've generated for this, we found improved coverage with the new V2 reagents. And as I said, they enabled the launch of the TrueSeq PCR-free kits. And looking at how that data really performs, you can see in the colored bars, so we're looking at using the new V2 reagents, so looking at the blue and the orange, looking at the TrueSeq Nano libraries and the TrueSeq PCR-free run on a V2, compared to the gray bar, which is showing the V1 reagents run with the Nano kit, as the Nano kit was the only library prep kit that was compatible with those original V1 reagents. But looking at specifically the high AT or the high GC, you can see we've really been able to improve the coverage with the new V2 reagents. That's why we want to bundle these reagents together with the library prep kits, again, just to make it easier for you guys to be able to do whole human genome sequencing. So hopefully you've gotten a sense of what the complete high throughput portfolio is. And here just to really sum it up with the high throughput section of our portfolio, so operating from a production scale to a population scale on the HiSeq X10 platform. We still sell the HiSeq 2500. It's a vital instrument to the portfolio in that it's the only high throughput sequencer that has not only the high output V4 reagents that we launched last year, but also has the rapid run mode. So using those V4 reagents, we're able to deliver 1 terabase of data with 4 billion reads and a maximum read length of 2 by 125. And then with the rapid run mode, again, we launched some new V2 reagents at the end of last year, delivering 300 gigabases, 600 million reads, and a maximum read length of 2 by 250. So on a high throughput system, the HiSeq 2500 will give the longest read length of the 2 by 250. And then, as I mentioned, we have the HiSeq 3000 and HiSeq 4000 utilizing the pattern flow cell technology, more tensely pack those pattern flow cells to really increase the amount of output that we can generate and also speed up the assay time. So we're able to deliver on the HiSeq 4000 1.5 terabases with 5 billion reads, 2 by 150 in only 3.5 days. so a significant improvement in the total throughput of the system. And then we have the HiSeq X Series, whether you're purchasing a HiSeq X5 or a HiSeq X10, you get the same performance on the instrument with 1.8 terabases generated in under less than 3 days with 6 billion reads and a maximum read length of 2 by 150. So how we like to think about the entire portfolio and how customers are segmented, it doesn't matter if you're working on a personal scale or working on the production scale on the x-axis here, or working on a low throughput or a high throughput application or data-rich application like whole human genome sequencing or whole exome sequencing. Illumina has a sequencer that's going to be able to meet your need. So again, if you're working on a lower throughput running amplicon panels or small targeted panels and you need a fast turnaround time, low entry cost into sequencing, HiSeq is a platform for you. If you want to ramp that up into more of a production scale, you can move those panels up onto the NextSeq 500 and work on a higher throughput level. And then with the announcement of the new HiSeq systems, we're able to really have the HiSeq series, whether it's the 2500, 3000, or 4000, as the true workhorse of the platform, with being able to deliver the high throughput that you need and the production scale sequencing. Or if you're looking to run smaller packages with a trio of exome samples, you can use the NextSeq for, again, rapid turnaround time, real high quality data, and we have new reagents that will be coming out on the NextSeq 500 that significantly optimize the performance of the NextSeq system and improve the data quality up to that of the HiSeq and MiSeq systems. And then we have the HiSeq X Series being able to do the whole human genome sequencing and large-scale production population sequencing. And then, again, 3000 and 4000, rounding out the portfolio with bringing pattern flow cells to a broad array of applications. So I don't want to go through the complete portfolio again, but just looking at the entire portfolio from low throughput all the way through to high throughput, Illumina is going to provide a system with sequencing power for every scale, whether you're working on the low throughput scale using a MiSeq or the MiSeq DX, or scaling all the way up to the HiSeq X10 platform. Illumina has a system that will enable your research. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for joining the webinar. If you have additional questions, you can type them into the chat room. We'll stay online and answer those individual questions. And you can also go to our webpage for more information on the individual systems themselves. So thanks a lot, and with that, I'll move over to the chat room. Pantea, are there?
Yes, we already have a good number of questions, and starting with the HiSeq 3000, 4000, there's a question around will the HiSeq 3000, 4000 support a fast mode like the 2500? If so, what are the expected read lengths?
Okay, so currently the HiSeq 3000 and 4000 only operate in high output mode. There is no rapid run mode, and the main reason for this is because we've been able to reduce the runtime of the system. So with a 2 by 150 base pair read length, you're able to process that sample in less than 3.5 days. And a 2 by 75, you can process that in less than 2 days. So you can process even shorter read lengths in under a day all the way up to 3.5 days. So you still get that rapid turnaround time even though you're operating in high output mode.
The next question is on the HiSeq X side, which I can take. Can Illumina HiSeq X10 and X5 sequence non-human species? The answer is no. The HiSeq X platform has been licensed to only support human whole genome sequencing. Peter, question for you. What is the price range for the HiSeq 3000, 4000?
Yeah, so For individual pricing, you should go to your TAMs or your sales reps to be able to get the individual pricing on the platform. But I can say that the HiSeq 3000 is roughly the same price as what HiSeq 2500 system is.
There's a question on the HiSeq X side. Is the bundling of library prep and sequencing reagents for all instruments or just HiSeq X5, HiSeq X10? This would be only for the HiSeq X5 and HiSeq X10 reagents. We'll be offering bundled library prep and sequencing consumables. Next question, Peter, for you. Can a HiSeq 2500 be upgraded to a 4000?
That's a good question. And no, those systems cannot be upgraded to a 3000 or 4000. So we've made significant improvements in the platform, and there's no upgrade path to a 3000 or 4000. We do, however, if you purchase a HiSeq 3000, we have that upgrade kit that you can upgrade from a 3000 to a 4000, but not for the 2500.
Next question is around pattern flow cells. So are pattern flow cells only used in HiSeq 3000 and 4000? The answer is no. The pattern flow cell technology was launched with the HiSeq X platform, and now we have extended that to the HiSeq 3000 and 4000. So HiSeq X 3000 and 4000 are all compatible with the pattern flow cell.
Yeah, and one important point to note there, though, is that the specific reagent kits and flow cells are matched with the individual platforms. So a HiSeq 3000, 4000 flow cell is not compatible on the HiSeq X and vice versa.
There's a question that lots of people have been asking about this webinar. Would the slides be available later on? So within a week of this webinar, we would be sending out the recording of today's session to all the people that have registered. So the answer is yes. Peter, next question for you. Is the HiSeq 3000, 4000 software the same as HiSeq 2500?
No, they are different softwares. We needed to develop specific software to be able to run the new pattern flow cell technology. And yes, it's unique to the HiSeq 3000, 4000 system.
Next question, how long does it take a well to become fully clustered? So with the exclusion amplification technology that Peter covered, it happens in a matter of seconds. Really fast process.
Yeah.
Next question, when users sequence their data, is the data available to them or does Illumina own it?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I missed it.
When users sequence their data, is the data available to them or does Illumina own it?
No, so all these systems are sold to the customers. So these are instruments that are on individual customer sites. So yes, the customer owns the data. You can set up your instrument so that you can stream to base space for the HiSeq 3000 and 4000, but you still own the data. But you can share that data with other customers or with Illumina if we need to do some troubleshooting.
For pattern flow cells, is cluster generation done on CBOTs? The answer is yes, both for the HiSeq X and HiSeq 3000 and 4000. With the pattern flow cells, you need a CBOT for the cluster generation.
Yeah, and the actual CBOT protocol is going to still take roughly about 2 hours to do the cluster generation.
There are, again, a couple of questions regarding the price range for the 3000, 4000 that Peter mentioned. You would contact your account manager for that information. Looks like, Peter, we have covered most of the questions through the chat box. We will give it another minute for more questions to come in. And then if not, we can wrap it up. There's a question that came out with the old CBOTs. Can old CBOTs be used, or do we need to update? Customers can use their current CBOTs. It's just the software on the CBOT needs to get updated. Peter, question for you. Which platforms use the V4 chemistry?
So the V4 chemistry is available on the HiSeq 2500 and any system that was actually shipped in 2013 or later. So any system that was shipped in 2013 or later has the proper hardware to be able to run the V4 chemistry. Systems that are older than that will not be compatible, and it doesn't matter if it's a HiSeq 2000, 2500, 1500. Any system that was shipped after 2013 will be compatible with the V4 reagents. You just need to purchase a V4 upgrade and have your system upgraded so that you can run those V4 reagents.
Okay. Well, with that, I wanted to thank everyone for joining the call today, and thank you, Peter, for a great presentation.